Ontario asparagus are fresh and they're available right now all across the province and across Canada. There's over 3,500 acres of asparagus being grown right now, and sometimes harvest is twice a day. These will grow up to 10 inches a day, so they're really an incredible vegetable. So I want to have a recipe that is going to be just as incredible to go along with it. You got fresh pasta with asparagus, prosciutto, and tomato. This combination of flavors is going to make the perfect meal. The first thing we have to do is get started on the fresh pasta. With 3 cups of all-purpose flour measured off, the next step is to add a pinch of salt. So just a little bit of a nice pink Himalayan salt. We'll put that in. And a quick stir. Then I'm going to create a well in the bottom. And it's easiest to do this in a bowl. You can do it on a countertop or cutting board, but doing it in the bowl keeps the mess tidy. So 1, 2, now these farm fresh eggs, they vary in size a little bit. I'm going to put 4 in. I may need a bit more, but 4 will likely get it done. You can see the beautiful color of those yolks. 4, and then I always like to put a little splash of a good extra virgin olive oil. The next step is to use a fork to whisk up these eggs. And before incorporating it, I really want to get the yolks broke and get a nice mixed egg going. And then as you start, you can see you just begin to incorporate the flour that's along the edges. Continue to work it with the fork until it's completely incorporated. Sure enough, I needed 1 more egg because those farm fresh eggs aren't grated exactly the same size. As it begins to come together, if you need any more liquid, you can use a splash of water. And if it's a little too wet, you can always add just a bit more flour. You'll have to make adjustments, but you can see I'm just beginning to work that dough to bring it together and completely mix it till it's fully incorporated. The last step is to get it wrapped in plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator to rest. Prosciutto has so much natural flavor, so we're just going to accentuate it by crisping it up a little bit. And of course, that pork fat is going to light up and become part of the sauce. So with a preheated pan, make sure to get the oil coated all over the bottom. You can see that pan is good and hot already. And then in batches, lay the prosciutto out. Want to crisp it up, get it nice and colored, and then we'll pull it out and reserve it until the end. While the prosciutto is crisping up, I'm going to get some of the prep done. The first thing that I want to do is use the tips of the asparagus. Those spear ends have so much character and so much flavor, and they're perfect when it comes to pasta because they're bite-sized. The next thing that I want to do is get the tomatoes ready. So the tomatoes are cherry tomatoes. I'll just set them on their end and slice them in half, revealing their beautiful insides. You could use regular sized tomatoes, Romas or hothouse, beefsteak. I just love these little cherry and grape tomatoes because they're packed with so much flavor. Make sure to drain the prosciutto on a paper towel. You can see how beautifully crisp that has come up. Then using the same pan, I'm going to go in with the spears and the heirloom tomatoes. I'm going to saute that until they're lightly colored. Remember, it's got all that beautiful pork fat in there. All I have to do is season it with some salt and pepper and saute it until it's tender and some flavor developed. Make sure to rest your pasta for at least 30 minutes, if not an hour or 2. Keep in mind when you make pasta this way, you can also freeze it. Why are you resting it? Because we want that gluten to relax just a little bit so that when you roll it out, it doesn't retract. So you can see the beautiful texture of this dough. I just love making dough with fresh farm eggs. Then all you need to do is just simply flour your work surface and be generous. This is the one place it will stick. And then I'm going to take and divide it by 4. So I'm only working with a quarter at a time. This extra I'm going to take and set aside. Make sure to wrap it up. Otherwise, it's going to dry out on you. Make sure to flour the rolling pin so it doesn't stick there as well, and then begin working the dough. Working with pasta dough will really take you back to your childhood, and this is a great thing to actually do with kids. You can see the thickness of the dough is just nice and thin, just enough so I can handle it. Now I'm going to do a bit of a medium-sized cut. So what I want to do is begin folding it. And all you have to do with plenty of flour on is just do like an accordion, back and forth. And this way your lines can be good and straight. Trimming the end, and let's do something that's about this width. Once sliced, just simply open up the beautiful pasta, and you can see that because there's enough flour on it, it won't stick together, and you can handle it nicely. A couple things you can do at this point. You can take and set that aside in nests that will dry, and when you drop them in water, they'll expand, or we're going to put these directly into boiling water. Just before the pasta goes in, it's important to season the water. So I'm going to be liberal with, I've got a pink Himalayan salt here. You can just use rock salt. Make sure that the water tastes of salt, and then it's time for the pasta to go in. The one difference between fresh pasta and dry pasta is that you'll notice that this cooks so fast. This will literally cook in a matter of minutes. 90 seconds, it'll begin to float, and then you'll know it's ready to be eaten. I'm so excited about this dish. It smells so great, and it looks incredible. The building of it is really important. The first thing to do is when you get the pasta finished, make sure to put some olive oil in a bowl and toss the pasta first. It gives it a nice coating and coats it just perfectly. Then, spooning in some of that beautiful ricotta that's going to just begin to melt as it hits the heat. Putting the crispy prosciutto on the side. The reason that I do that is because I don't want it to get soggy. We worked hard to develop flavor, so let's keep it going. Then the bright basil, and then the topping. This incredible mixture of tomatoes and asparagus is incredible. It's perfectly acidic, perfectly sweet. Everything has come together in this dish, and the basil just absolutely lights it up. So this fresh pasta with basil and prosciutto and asparagus and that beautiful ricotta, this is a real hit. I think you're going to love it.